Female characters in anime have always been done dirty. Always sidekicks, hollow love interests, or just background fodder. What if I told you that in just 25 chapters, Shonen Jump has finally given us a female character who shatters every trope, introducing the next queen of anime, Desscaras. But let's back it up a little, because I know you're probably saying, who? Well, outside of her looks, because I know you guys were barking at this image, she's actually a goated mentor in Ichi The Witch. From chapter 1, she had undeniable aura as soon as she entered the manga. Now, before I go deep into why she's so well written, I do first have to prove that she's just as overpowered as other mentors. There's a reason people were calling her the next Gojo when she was first introduced. Her title, the Abyssal Witch, sounds like a secret Dark Souls boss that'll make you snap your controller in half. Ororo, the literal king of magic, a god tier being feared for centuries. This dude drank rivers, leveled mountains, and casually committed genocide. But Desscaras? She annihilated him, because she's just built different. As with one huge attack, she leaves the magic on his ass in defeat, with a shockwave that witches feel from miles away. Yep, she was releasing nukes this early. If not for Ororo's trial having the requirement of not being a woman, she would have killed him right here. I mean, when facing Desscaras, Ororo literally says that he's never been this afraid in his entire life. The whole reason the series even happened is because Desscaras weakened Ororo enough for Ichi to steal the kill from her and take his magic. She literally calls herself the GO.A.T, and guess what? She's right. Following this though, we get to see how busted she is when the World Hater magic appears. This magic is even a step above Ororo, as Ichi realizes himself that this magic has taken countless lives, and it's an S tier threat. Desscaras even seems to have a personal connection to this magic, but we'll go into more of that later. This monster could have raced 3 miles of a mountain in an instant. The strongest enemy the witches have ever faced, also known as the God Magic. Ororo, who has never been scared until this point, begged Ichi to run the away, but if you guys have watched my other video on Ichi The Witch, you'd know he's not going to do that. Ichi goes full feral, freezing the magic spell with an absurd whale attack, and then he plays dead and goes for the kill shot, which obviously doesn't work. But Ichi is now obsessed with trying to kill this monster, which actually ties into his destiny, but we'll go into more of that later. Anyway, Desscaras then makes her appearance, landing a bigger blow than Ichi did immediately, as she goes on to call herself the most powerful witch. But after the World Hater magic doesn't answer her question and gets annoyed trying to attack her with the same attack he used against Ichi, a shiver runs through his body, because Desscaras displays her true power in this gorgeous panel. I mean, guys, she's absolutely stunning. But outside of this, she's got a magic and nuke, a lasso of truth, and spells that hit like Elden Ring bosses. This ain't just fire and water magic, she's got so many powers she's lost count of them all. She somehow even managed to heal Ichi with this bubble despite him being warped into this by the magic. The World Hater magic is almost forced to reveal his trial, admitting that he underestimated Desscaras, asking how many magics have you acquired, which is when she reveals that she has no idea. Now, if you guys are coming into this video not really knowing how the power system works, let me quickly explain. In Ichi The Witch, to become more powerful, you must pass a trial set by a magic. These aren't always as simple as just killing them either, it's a lot more complicated. But by passing a trial, you gain their powers, like in Magi for instance. So the more trials you pass, the more powerful you are. Desscaras not knowing how many magics he's attained is outrageous, because this makes her borderline unstoppable, because this means that she doesn't just have simple powers like wind, fire, water, and earth. They have special attributes sometimes, like the lasso of truth thing I mentioned earlier. She has no weaknesses, and again, if the God's magic trial was revealed, we all know she would have defeated him instantly. I mean, she legit cuts off his head, and he retreats in the end with neither of them winning. Meaning that before chapter 20, Desscaras was matching the gods of this world. So yeah, this woman is no joke. If she was in any other magic world, she'd dominate. In fact, the trials won't hold her back here, because it's not all about raw power. But I'm not gonna lie, her power is the thing I care about the least, because she's had mystery around her character from the beginning, from her past with Ororo to her relation to the World Hater magic. But it's only recently we got an answer regarding all of this. When the World Hater magic was introduced, Desscaras instantly noticed notices its barrier, with a look combining shock, fear, and anger towards it, immediately dashing towards this being. When she landed her first attack, the magic does recognize her, even though he tries to act like he didn't. This expression isn't fooling anyone, bro. We also learned that the town this magic warped 15 years ago has some relation to Desscaras, and her obsession with hunting this monster. And in chapter 21, we get her answer, as the one she lost was her baby brother Libro, who Ichi reminds her of deeply. This is where we have to talk about her relationship to our main character Ichi, which turns her from a cruel character to one that changes how all manga should write their mentor characters. At the beginning, she was quite typical for a mentor, displaying her absurd power and good looks, but she was already different because she was actually hilarious. She's immediately pissed at Ichi for acquiring Uroro, which makes sense. I mean, she's been hunting this guy for years at this point, and then this feral teenager came out of nowhere and stole her kill purely because he's a man. Based on her initial introduction, you'd expect her to just be some typical stoic manga character, but her facial reactions are some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, constantly in disbelief of Ichi and losing her mind around him. She also insults the guy constantly. Even later, when Ichi is getting cozy with Komugi, she isn't a tsundere, she dives straight in saying how jealous she is. Trust me, you need to read it for yourself to realize how hilarious Desscaras actually is. Desscaras also isn't necessarily an amazing person. She has flaws. She's extremely arrogant for one, constantly saying how strong and beautiful she is. Okay, she's right, but still, she does this many times in the story, calling herself the most talented and greatest witch in history, but unlike other mentors in anime where they're relatively hollow and take a while to fully connect to the main character, or it feels forced, Desscaras connects with Ichi very quickly, through their banter with each other. The only time they agree on anything is when they join together to insult Uroro. Desscaras doesn't take shit from anyone, refusing to admit she's in the wrong because she's too perfect. I'm not saying this to say she isn't well written, it's actually the opposite. Well written characters are flawed, they aren't perfect because no one in real life is. She's not absent either from the story, like Gojo, who was realistically always away from Yuji and the others because he was just too strong, meaning that he couldn't really develop a proper relationship with Yuji that was super layered. Desscaras, on the other hand, is in pretty much every single chapter alongside Ichi because that's what a mentor is. And outside of her mocking him, Desscaras is genuinely impressed with Ichi and knows there's certain things only he can do, stating that because of his isolation in the forest as a child, he doesn't see these magics as some being that's power should be respected, but monsters that need to be hunted if they harm others. Desscaras defends Ichi as well when she talks to Toge Ice, where we also learn that her and Ichi may be more similar than they'd like to admit, but it's after the fight with the World Hater Magic where their relationship changes forever, because when both Ichi and Desscaras meet the Oracle Witch, whose prophecies are always 100% accurate, she tells them Ichi's destiny. The World Hater Magic was supposedly impossible to acquire, and would achieve its goal of destroying the world, with everyone being transformed into unliving abominations. However, there's now a ray of hope that may be able to overrun this future, and this is the witch that will attain Ororo. This light will challenge the World Hater and, if victorious, will save the world. Ichi is the messiah who will save the entire planet, but after he acquires this god magic, he'll die alongside it. Oracle magic says how this should be easy to accept. I mean, it's his life versus billions. He should march bravely to his death, and when Desscaras is probably about to comfort him, he just agrees. Because if the choice is either die on his own or die while succeeding in his hunt, the choice is obvious, and this shocks Desscaras to her core. Usually when a main character is told they're doomed to die, they're the one freaking out, but here it's Desscaras who's terrified, because after this she goes out drinking to cope, and we learn what I already told you guys earlier about her brother, but unlike other mentors, she doesn't keep any of her feelings hidden or ominous about them, because when she asks Ichi if he's actually okay with this prophecy and he confirms that he is, she sits down and asks Ichi to be her family. Desscaras feels responsible for dragging him away from his mountain home, and she's not wrong. She is the one who put him in harm's way and directed him towards these magics where his life has been on the line already. So she already sees herself as his big sister, which makes sense. They have a very sibling-like relationship, so she tells Ichi that he needs a home to return to. He may not think he needs it, but he does. I mean, this is something he's been lacking his entire life. He's been completely alone with no reason to to even live outside of the hunt. So for the first time in his life, Ichi has a home, he has family. And Desscaras, she's literally willing to die for him as she offers him a pupil-mentor contract that will make them family officially. And when you think this is just another sweet mentor moment, a huge bombshell is dropped. As if Ichi dies, she will too. She tied her fate to his because she refuses to let him die. And if you want more proof that they are actually family, in the recent chapter, Ichi says how he gets Goku Raku's sibling relationship and says how he and Desscaras are now family as well. Desscaras may play it off, saying that this was so he couldn't disobey her, but there's a lot more to it. Desscaras actually did this because of finding out about the prophecy where he dies. Desscaras refuses to sit back and watch a kid throw his life away. She won't let Ichi be another sacrifice. This is the definition of taking responsibility, and it's something that's sorely lacking in most of the manga. Other mentors really don't have this level of development and genuinely do feel hollow to me. You may be thinking that it's just responsibility keeping her with Ichi, but when you see this panel, you know that she truly sees him as a helpless little brother. Desscaras isn't just breaking the mold, she's rewriting the entire blueprint for how shonen handles female characters, and trust me, this is just the beginning.